Hello and welcome to our conference podcast series, Power of Potential, sharing experiences from Universal Design for Learning journeys. Hello, we're joined today by Sujata Bhan. Sujata, welcome.
Thank you, Christy.
And can I ask, so this podcast is on Teams. I'm in Worcester. Can I ask where you are today, Sujata?
Sorry, come again?
Can I ask where you are today?
I'm in India, Mumbai, which is one of the busiest and most populated cities of the country. So at the moment, I'm at home. It's about 9 p.m. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this discussion with you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for giving up your evening to talk to us. It's really appreciated, Sujata. So can I ask, before we delve into the questions, you are going to be presenting at the UDL conference. Could you tell me a bit about what you're going to be presenting or what you might be talking about?
Yes, I will. I'm heading the Department of Special Education in the university, SNDT Women's University. It is one of the oldest universities in South Asia, 108 years to be precise. And
Wow.
in this Department of Special Education, we have a small center for children with disabilities, what we call Arushi, the Learning Center. So we have recently started using universal design for learning in our approach to teaching in this center. And I'm going to present about what we did, how we did, and what are the results that we are seeing now, and which are very encouraging. And we are continuing to do so right now. We are on a vacation. So when we come back in June, June 18th is when we reopen. So I'll be away for the conference, but my teachers at Arushi are going to continue with this project that we have taken. Uh, uh, with this belief that UDL works for children with special needs as well. However, as far as UDL is concerned in India, it is still at a very nascent stage.
Okay.
Yeah. And now our government is pushing for inclusive education. We have a new national education policy, which came in 2020, which focuses on that all the schools have to be inclusive in nature. Our teachers in regular schools are not yet ready for that. They don't know how to address these diversities in their classrooms. And we have a variety of diversities in our classrooms. Children coming from different linguistic backgrounds, religious backgrounds, caste system, so different caste backgrounds, and of course, socioeconomic backgrounds. We don't have that much of racism, but we have casteism in our system. First generation learners are there. So when they come from a different linguistic background, again, their needs are very different. So now we consider that UDL is one pedagogy that is most effective in an inclusive classroom. So a lot of training is happening with general mainstream school teachers about how to use UDL in classroom.
And Sujata, when you say that's really interesting about the new national education policy around schools. Can I ask what age range are you talking about when you talk about the schools?
From the age of 3 to 18 years.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so you'll say, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So from 3 to 5, we call it the foundational years. Okay. And then from 5 year onwards, then they come into first, second, third, and on like till 12th standard, till 12th grade.
Okay.
So earlier, our education policy did not include children coming from the age of 3 to 5 years. But now they say those are the crucial foundational years. So it's very important that we set a very strong foundation there. So a lot of policy changes have been made to address the needs of children at that age group.
That's really interesting. So thinking about things earlier on in the developmental stage
Yes,
than previously.
yes,
Okay. Oh, well, that thank you for that context. That's really useful. So I'm going to start moving through some of our questions, if that's okay.
yes.
The first question I have then, in your words, what is universal design for learning? How would you describe it?
See, in a very layperson's language, if I have to define universal design, I look at it in a manner where all children in my class, no matter what their backgrounds are, their needs are addressed. Their learning is happening. They are engaged. They are able to access the information. They are able to
Mm,
engage with the information. They are participating and achieving some learning outcomes.
mm. So it's about accessibility for
Yes,
everybody, and achieving what their goals may be in terms of
yes,
that learning. Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
brilliant.
yes.
Um,
So I'll give you one example here.
oh, please do.
Our classrooms are very big, large. Like we don't have
Mm,
20 or 30 students in a class, but we have 50, 60, 70 students in one class.
wow. Wow. Okay.
You know, India is a hugely populated country. So for a teacher to be able to reach out to every student in the class becomes very difficult. So you cannot make, tailor-made education for individual differences. So if you
Mm,
use universal design, that makes it actually easier for the teacher without keeping in mind the disability of the child, but just focusing on their learning implications. You create your content in such a manner that every student in the class has an access to it. That is how I look at universal design in our context, particularly.
yeah, that's a really good example about if you've got that many students or pupils and learners and a huge variety of needs, actually having one approach could potentially make things easier while still making sure that learning is accessible. Yeah, really, really interesting. So, thinking about that then, what does universal design look like in your setting? I mean, you've given an example and you've given a bit of a context about the policy, and you've said that the policy is going live, but some of the teaching staff perhaps haven't been informed about UDL and their training's taking place. So, what does it currently look like at the moment?
So the teacher is expected to first be very clear about the goal or whatever she's
Mm,
going to do in the class, right? On the basis of the goal, she chooses the content. What is she going to teach to achieve that goal? Then
mm,
she has to keep in mind the learning needs of all the children in the class. Therefore, how can she present the material in a variety of ways? Like, for example, she uses a flashcard, she uses a model, she demonstrates something, and not just stand there and give a lecture.
mm,
In India, more often than not, teachers follow the conventional method of teaching in schools where they just, you know, either use the blackboard or are just lecturing. So now things are changing. So they are expected to make it more interactive,
mm.
push the children to think, move away from rote learning,
Yeah.
right? Make them think, encourage them to, build and construct the knowledge in the class together, having a lot of discussions, right? Sometimes using role play, sometimes having any physical activity or variety of things, so not just have one mode of sharing of the information. That is
Yeah.
something we see now. Slowly it's picking up. So that is how we look at UDL. And also, it is not just about sharing, it's also how do you engage the students. So coming up
Mm,
with variety of ways where the students are coming forward and learning by doing, right? And when it comes to evaluation, there also our education policy is talking about continuous formative evaluation,
yeah.
right? So you're continuously observing children, how they are performing, and not having just one evaluation at the end of the year or at the end of a semester or at the end of a term, which
Mm,
used to be the case. earlier on. So, in
Yeah.
all aspects, slowly, we are trying to make these changes, making the teachers aware that this is how you can do it differently and not just follow the conventional methods of teaching. And while doing so, some children are visual learners, some are auditory learners. So, when you're presenting the content both visually and auditorily,
Mm.
every student will pick up, what appeals to
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
of
So like,
course.
yeah. So like that is, what we are looking at it right now.
And how are teachers finding that? Are they enjoying moving to this new way of working, moving away from the traditional, you said, sort of giving information, learning by reading and writing? What's the response been so far, do you think?
Okay.
Without giving
So,
too much away, because I know you're going to discuss this
yeah.
in your talk.
See, I'll be very honest with you.
Mm,
Everybody likes to be in their comfort zone.
mm,
Most people are resistant to change. And this is a
okay.
lot of work for the teachers, no doubt about that. Right?
Mm,
Teachers have to prepare more aids, teachers have to prepare models, teachers have to, and we don't have ready resources available where you just pick it up from there, go in the class, use them, and be done with it. Many schools do not have the resources. So the teachers
yeah.
have to build their own resource. So there is little bit of,
Yeah.
hesitation because I'm already overworked. Now you're giving me more work. Why don't you take these special children and put them in special schools? They have special teachers. Why are you burdening us with the work that they are supposed to do? These
Mm,
kind of statements you get to hear a lot. I will
yeah.
not deny that. But having said that, there are many teachers who are also very excited about it. I feel, Kirsty, teaching is about passion. If you
Yes.
treat teaching just as a mere job, then you will find a million reasons for not changing, for not doing what you're supposed to do. But if you're passionate about teaching, then you will get immense pleasure when you can see every child in your class involved, engaged, and improving. Then you do not mind walking that extra mile. So we have both kind of teachers. There are some
Yes.
who are very happy, excited to learn and go with it. And there are some who are still finding it, little difficult, little more time consuming and tiring. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting and a really good overview of some of the challenges, but also some of the exciting changes and how some of the passionate teachers are seeing their classrooms come alive with everybody being involved. That's brilliant. Um, so I'm moving on now to question 3, which is why do you feel that universal design for learning is so important?
As I said earlier, because now the thrust is on inclusive education. Okay. So we have to equip the teachers with inclusive pedagogies. How do
Mm,
I reach out to every student in my class? I have to learn those techniques, those strategies, so that I don't leave any child behind, right? And having said that, there are still many children who come to special schools. Earlier on, UDL was only considered as a technology or as a teaching approach for inclusive schools.
mm,
Now we realize that what happens to children with special needs, those who are not taken in mainstream schools for whatever reason, they don't have the resources, or there could be attitudinal barrier, there could be physical accessibility issues, whatever the case
mm,
may be. So we still have a lot of children coming to special schools. Now even there, in one particular class, no two children are alike,
of
right?
course.
There may be two children who are visually impaired, but one may have some amount of vision, some amount of functional vision, while the other may not. There may be two children having autism, but they are at different levels of functioning, even at the spectrum. So I can use UDL even over there.
Mm,
That is why we thought that even our Arushi, though it is a special center, why not use UDL there? Because again, we will be kind of addressing all those. We have about 5 to 7 children in a class, but they're not really functioning at the same level. So even there, if we engage them in different ways. Like some like to do activities, some like to color, some like to
Mm,
write, some like to, maybe orally respond. So keeping their diversities in mind, how can I use UDL in my classroom?
mm,
Right?
yeah.
So that is why I feel UDL is important, not just in an inclusive school, but even in a special school.
And that's really interesting. And one of the themes that's come up in lots of these podcasts, Sujita, because I've obviously had the pleasure of talking to everybody, and I've noticed it's about the context and the fact that the UDL, some people have called it a framework, some people have called it an ethos or a way of working, but it can be taken everywhere. It can be used with adults, with children, with families. And it's delivered so differently depending on the setting, the culture, the geographical location. So it's really, really interesting to hear about it in your specific centre. Um, so thinking about the future, what are your hopes for the future of universal design for learning?
I think I'm just taking it from what you just said. The teachers need to internalize universal design for learning. It
Mm,
has to become the way of teaching in times to come.
yeah.
Because, right, it is not something I have to learn and then I have to apply a new technology, a new this thing. I feel eventually that's the only way I should be teaching in class. So once the teacher internalizes that and that becomes the norm, I'm sure we'll only see positive results in the classroom,
Mm,
in all kinds of classrooms, whether it's a mainstream classroom, inclusive classroom, or it's a special classroom.
mm,
It will take a while. I'm not saying it's going to happen just immediately, but right now it's kind of compulsion because our schools are expected to be inclusive, teachers are expected to go for these trainings. So they may do it, some of them under duress, like, okay, now I have to do it. But as they will see the results over a period of time, they only will realize, oh my God, what was I missing on? This is the way I can see that every child in my class is learning something. And over a period of time, by reflecting on their own teaching gradually, I'm hoping, and I'm sure actually, they will internalize this and it will only bring good results. And
Did,
also, one more thing I will add, sorry. It is not just happening at school level, it's also
okay.
happening at the college and university level. Uh, we are governed by our University Grants Commission, okay? And they conduct a lot of capacity building programs, even for university and college teachers. And there they are bringing in universal design for learning, which is very reassuring, So at all levels, we have at the policy level understood the importance and significance of UDL, and that is why it is now, trickling in at the grassroots level, where the teacher, whether at school level or college level, is expected to implement it and have, I mean, they have started implementing. I won't say, but yes, as I said in the beginning, it's still at the nascent stage, but
Mm.
since it has begun, over a period of time, it will be more solidified, and I'm assuming that over a period of time, this will be the norm.
How exciting that it could be the norm.
Yeah,
And
it is.
what a difference it must make to move to that approach for all the children and young people and adults in the classroom, that education journey from 3 years through school, through college, through university. That's really quite powerful, and so much opportunity there. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I could talk to you for hours, Sujata, but I don't want to you to have to do your talk that you're going to be giving at the conference and give it all away. So
Looking forward to see you, looking forward to the conference. It's just a few
yeah,
days away. I'm
I
flying on the
know.
night from India, and I'll be
Wow.
reaching Worcester on 25th, and super excited about it. And thank you so much for having this podcast with me. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, it's lovely to talk to you, and I hope the conference goes really well. And it's such a brilliant collection of experts that are all coming together to talk about UDL. So it's going to be fantastic.
I'm sure it will be.
Oh, thank you,
Thank,
Sujata. You
thank
take
you.
care.
You too. You too. See you soon.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.